Is there anybody listening? Is there anyone that sees what's going on? Read between the lines, criticize the words they're selling. Think for yourself and feel.
Good morning and welcome to your midweek recap. I am Chanda-Masta and this is the Trailer Park. Welcome to the Trailer Park Pundit. And I've got a huge show. I'm bringing big deck energy today. I went down a rabbit hole yesterday. I had to go down the Maui fire rabbit hole. Now, you guys know on Monday when I covered it, I said, well, whether you believe this was a natural disaster or intentional and man-made, that's your choice. Well, I'm here to tell you my opinion has changed. This shit was not a natural occurrence. So I have got so many videos for you guys. Each slide has got 2-3 videos. I've always said, you want to know what's going on? Go to the streets, right? Go listen to what the people are saying, because the people aren't going to lie who've lost everything, right? So we're going to get into that. Of course, 4th time's a charm for Trump. Yay, Trump indicted again. The shit libs with TDS are out there losing their effing minds. Yeah, social media was real fun yesterday with that crap going on. And we are poorer than we've ever been in years and years and years. We're going to cover that too. So we got a lot to talk about. But first, let's shout out the chats. How is everybody this morning? Good morning, Dr. Nick Rivera. Good to see you. Rick Solis is here. So is Snow Leopard in DC. Of course, Jilly just came in through that door. I don't want to lose anybody. Kim's here. Hi, Kim. Rob Juno. Hi, Rob. Barb, you made it early today. Kim, Corky. Hi. Comrade Kitty. Did you see the pool that Tara Reid posted today over in Moscow? Oh, so jealous. And how much you want to bet that shit's free to like fucking people of the town, or the city? Kim, I already got Kim. Let's see who else. Let's get up to the top. See who came in. Popeye was the first one through the door. Good to see you, Popeye. Let's scroll back down to the bottom. Peace Dove's here. Good morning, Peace Dove. Maui Commander, cruise ship for Maui's homeless now. Yeah, there's so much to talk about. I have got a whole page of notes. Like, there's just so many different aspects to this story that are heartbreaking, that piss you off. Like, there's just so much. So we're gonna start out with Biden and his response when we get there. But first, let's say hi to Rokfin. Hey, Rokfin, what's up? You guys hit that like button and share it out. I swear to God, I'm the most suppressed person on the internet. I know everybody thinks that, but truly I am. I haven't grown one viewer in 2 years. Not a joke. For every time somebody new follows, they take a couple away from me. So, or people just hate me, and 20 of them a day come and unfollow me. Which, how many times do you actually go and unfollow somebody? I mean, if somebody pisses me off, yeah, I'll go and follow them. But for the most part, most channels, I don't see them. They don't show up in my algorithm. I'm not unfollowing them. So it's a conspiracy against me. I'm all about conspiracies today, and we're going there. Denver Adway, good to see you. Kate's hanging out this morning. How is it, Kate? You're south of me now, right? I'm always trying to keep track. Are you north of me or south of me? Jim's hanging out over there. So is Fred Edwards. Fred's always out there sharing my tweets. Oh my gosh, you guys. I looked out the window this morning and like 4 of my sunflowers were on the ground because, I started them in pots, but now that they're 11 feet fucking tall, every time the wind catches them, I've got them tied up. They still went down. So I'm going to be out digging holes today and putting the whole pot in the ground so they'll quit blowing over. But they're massive and they're beautiful. They're starting to pop. They got their big heads on them, and the bees are loving them. Okay, we'll get started. Who's over on the Rokfin and the Rumble? Oh, and I better get logged into Kick. Last time I wasn't on Kick, man, they were not happy with me. So let's make sure we get logged into Kick. How is everybody this morning? How's the weather in your neck of the woods, like Al Rooker would say? It's pretty freaking hot here. I woke up to 76 degrees, so it's going to be humid. We're not used to that here in the Pacific Northwest at all. We always complain we want the heat, but as soon as the heat comes, man, we we bitch about it. That's just goes with living in the Northwest. I kind of miss the heat in the South. A few of my peppers are starting to pop, and I'm like, oh, if I lived in the South, my peppers would be doing so much better. Hey, in Rogue, good to see you. Okay, we'll just get started. We are on YouTube today. Oh, let me move my talkie seeds out of the way so I can see what I'm doing. Yeah, I have a little bit of a talkie addiction. That and Frank's Red Hot. I put Frank's Red Hot. I put that shit on everything, and that is their motto, of course. But I'm like Hillary Clinton, gotta have the hot sauce in my purse. The Willie Bragg Show, Willie. I stole the meme from you yesterday for Beauty and the Boomer because it was so funny. So Beauty and the Boomer is coming along nicely. It's going to be fun, and of course, Oz will be back in the Boomer seat on Saturday. Okay, fair use, y'all. I am just merely stating my opinion after doing my own research, and I'm not kidding. I spent 8 hours in the Maui fire rabbit hole yesterday, and it is a hell of a hole. Let's see. Go out there if you are interested in anything I'm talking about, any clips I bring. Please go out there and do your own research. I promise you the truth's out there. They either think that you're not going to believe it, or everybody will think you're a conspiracy theorist if you tell the truth. Because hey, that's the world we live in. Let's see, what do we got going on here? If you want to help me out, I'm still trying to reach my goal of getting my car fixed, and I got the GoFundMe up. Of course, the GoFundMe is in the link below. Y'all have been amazing at helping me. I really haven't made much in the last couple of weeks, but I get it. Everybody's struggling. When you're paying $5 for a freaking dozen eggs, I get that I mean, I would love to help everybody that I watch, right? I really would. If I had money, I'd be dangerous because I'd be giving it to independent media. I'd be giving it to mutual aid. I'd be giving it to people who would actually help. But no, the rich, they just give money to other rich people, right? Because that's how that rolls. So yeah, all of the links, the link tree is down below. And I know that there's a bunch of new stuff in the works. I talked to Oz yesterday, and I think we're going to be rolling out a couple of new interactive type shows, and maybe some merch to go along with it. So excited. $5 for eggs. I wish. Really, Jilly? How much are you paying for eggs? That's crazy. $8 for a dozen of like homegrown, probably. I think they're about 8 or 10 here, maybe 12. But still, we're going to talk about it, man. Everybody's hurting. Everybody's struggling. I don't care who you are or where you are. I don't care if you're middle class, and I don't care if you're in the Midwest, if you're on the East Coast or the West Coast. You are feeling the crippling inflation. You are feeling the crippling gas prices that have snuck back up with nobody noticing. But aren't gas prices supposed to come down after Labor Day weekend? So that's what's going on. They got to go up really high just before Labor Day, and then they'll come down a little bit, so we'll all be happy. Yeah, I think so. 78 in Jersey City. Geez, you guys are colder than we are today. That's amazing. Code Pink today said another 24 billions. Oh, Code Pink, you gotta love them, right? I can't believe I used to be out there freaking supporting Code Pink. I can't do that shit anymore. Dingo, you're hanging out over on the Kick, and we can actually see you. Good morning, Dingo. How are you? I think it's Gold Fusion's hanging out over there too. It's weird on the Kick. They leave the chat from every other show. So it's just like a continuous chat. So sometimes I'm like, what? And then, oh, that was from a show 2 weeks ago. So weird. Okay, let's get started on this deck. It looks like Oz helped us out and threw a Joey's coffee on there. Happy Silly Wednesday. Yes, everybody needs some Joey's coffee. If you don't know what Joey's coffee is, Al, the land of Oz, they roast their own coffee, and it is amazing. It is the best. And I don't say that because I'm trying to sell it to you guys. It truly is the best coffee I have ever had. And I live in the Northwest. Of course, we have Tully's and Starbucks and, all these other crazy brands. But Joey's Coffee, because it's small batch, hand roasted, done right by somebody who knows what they're doing, it's good coffee. So, yeah, you can reach out to Oz the Boomer or myself, and we'll get you guys a link to get to Joey's Coffee. Okay, let's see what is going on this day in history. Couple of weird ones in here. Why don't we start backwards? So 1812. So during the War of 1812, American Brigadier General William Hall, who with his troops at Fort Detroit surrendered to the British without a fight, leading to a celebrated court martial in which he was sentenced to death. He was saved by a president pardon. Now, what that's all about is he was supposed to be fighting for the Americans against the British, but the British, they partnered up with the Sioux Indians. Yeah, I think it was the Sioux. And they got their asses kicked and they had to surrender. And yeah, that pissed off America. But go check out the War of 1812. We're taught about it for maybe what, a day in school, maybe 8th grade, 7th grade or some shit. And you don't really grasp what it was really about, right? There's a lot about 1812. And a lot of the policies that are crippling and hurting us now were implemented in 1812. A lot of people don't know that. Okay, let's get moving. 1948, American baseball legend Babe Ruth dies at the age of 53. Damn, that's young. That is so young. Isn't that so young? Why did that not? There we go. Let's see. In 1954, the first issue of Sports Illustrated was released, and it was a weekly publication that became the leading sports magazine in the United States. Oh my God. My dad had a subscription when we were kids. We got Time magazine and we got Sports Illustrated in our house. Maybe Wall Street Journal occasionally, but I remember flipping through those magazines as a kid, especially the swimsuit edition, to see what those hot chicks look like. Is that what I'm expected to look like when I grow up? That's what I thought. And American singer Elvis Presley, also known as the King of Rock and Roll, died of a heart attack brought on largely by drug abuse. Who remembers that day? I know we got people in the chat that remember that day. I vaguely remember that day, but I was very young. I think I was like 4 or 5 years old. And I remember that my mom was sitting at the kitchen table crying. And I'll never forget it. The back door was open. It was a hot, breezy day. And not understanding while my mother was so upset over somebody that she'd never met before. But of course, I get it now. And let's see, what else do we got? 1989, Space Storm crashes stock market computers. Oh, but that's just a conspiracy. The sun can't actually do that, can it? The hell it can't, and it does. It knocked out radio this week, and they say there's more CMEs headed our way since we are in a 11-year solar cycle. Okay, let's talk about birthdays. Today's birthday is James Cameron. Of course, James Cameron shares a birthday with Madonna. Madonna apparently recovering from her Fauci ouchie very nicely. We got Steve Carell, and I could not leave out Mrs. Slave Labor herself, Kathy Lee. I gotta say, I did like Kathy Lee's line at Walmart 20 years ago, till we found out that she was paying kids 2 cents a day to bake that shit. And yesterday birthday that I had to mention, Napoleon Bonaparte. Yes. So that is your this day in history. I don't know. I like history, and we really need to look at and talk about the history of Hawaii, and we will. I mean, I don't really go there today, but I think it's so important for what's coming, because I don't think they know what's fucking coming for them. I think you guys fucked with the wrong people. Jax, I'm late, but I made it. Good morning. Thanks for the super chat. And I think I saw a super ray land over on the Rokfin. DC, did you know that DuPont is the largest serving military contractor of the U.S. since the War of 1812? Actually, I did know that, DC, because my first husband worked for DuPont. We lived in a little tiny town just outside of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. He was a union iron worker. And of course, they need the iron workers to go in there and refit their big petroleum, all of their chemical freaking plants, right? So a lot of welding inside of tanks, a lot of poisoning. He would come home with caustic poison. It was fucking terrible. But here's the perk. Because he worked for DuPont, we could go to the DuPont store and buy things at a discount, and you would be floored at how much shit is in your house that DuPont actually is producing under other names. Because you're right, they're all bought out. They're all conglomerates of a conglomerate of a conglomerate. And yeah, so no, I'm not shocked at all about that. I've known that DuPont is one of the worst in the world. Who do you got down there? He worked for DuPont, he worked for Dow, and he worked for Exxon. Those were the three big ones, that he worked for when we lived down there. So poor Louisiana, it's just swimming in chemicals. Okay, let's get started on the story of the day. Tinfoil hats ready. Maui's fire sparks conspiracy theories about space lasers and Oprah's land grab and suspicious trees. Yeah, New York Post, you would say that instead of actually looking into what people are saying and the connections that are there, because it's not adding up and it doesn't make sense. And I think maybe the reason for me it doesn't make sense is because I covered the Paradise Fires for an outfit called American Activist Live Streams. And what we were a get live streams out their channel on Facebook many years ago. This was before they started censoring us. And like I say, go to the streets. You want to know what's going on? Go look at the people pulling their phones out of their pocket and recording stuff. And that's what we used to do. So during the Vegas massacre, we were live on the air for 24 hours, moving videos as they came in. And Paradise Fire was the same thing, moving videos. The videos that I remember seeing from the Paradise Fire are gut-wrenching. Like, it's like they're burned in my brain like a scene from the Terminator. I'm not even kidding. But, PG&E paid because they're the bad guys. I mean, they are the bad guys, but it's easy to pin it on them. Have them pay a small settlement, and then nobody can ask questions, right? How many people are still displaced from the Paradise Fire? How many people are still, and think about these fires, these big, massive, hot burning fires, so hot that they melt the cars, but not the trees. Fires that we've seen in the last 6 years, right? You have the Malibu one. Remember the Malibu one just fucking devastated a bunch of land in Malibu, which isn't a sought after place to live at all. It's not like they're fighting to get land in Malibu, right? What about Paradise? Was Paradise the same way? I mean, was it hard to get land in Paradise? I'm not sure about that, but we definitely know it was hard to get land in Maui. And we'll talk about the history of Maui and why that is. I have seen a lot of the laser videos and pictures that are out there. I really don't give validity to any of them because a lot of the ones that are out there are not even from Hawaii. They're from shit that happened years ago and people are just slapping a Maui label on it. And we're seeing that, we always see that every time there's some kind of crazy disaster. So Biden, of course, yesterday morning or the night before, when asked for a comment, he just said no comment and kind of shuffled off to his car, giggling on his way in. White House defends Biden's no comment Maui fire response. Yeah, they said, well, we didn't want him saying anything till we told him what to say, right? I mean, if that was Trump would have stopped in a heartbeat and been like, hey, man, yeah, we're going to get there. We're going to be the best response. And we know how Trump would have responded to that. Totally opposite of Biden. But Biden, he was busy because he had to get down to the beach. So breaking outrage, Americans blasting President Biden after he said no comment when asked about the catastrophic Maui fire, now the deadliest U.S. blaze in over a century. Despite the death toll climbing to about 100, Americans were outraged that Biden remained sunbathing on the beach near his Delaware home. Now, let me tell you, as of this time, 114 have been declared dead, with 1,400 missing, from what I understand. That was the number as of this morning. Let's see. What is this from the New York Post?
Well, I got to talk a little bit about Hawaii. I've been on the phone with the governor coming up here and the senators. And let me address the devastating wildfires, some of which are still burning in Hawaii. They've claimed the lives of 99 people so far. and they haven't cleaned things up yet. The deadliest wildfire in more than 100 years. A whole city destroyed. Generations of native Hawaiian history turned into ruin. I've spoken to Governor Josh Green multiple times and reassured him the state will have everything it needs from the federal government. I immediately approved the governor's request for expedited major disaster declaration. That's a fancy word of saying whatever you need, you're going to get. And that'll get aid into the hands of people who desperately need it, who have lost their loved ones, who have lost their homes, their livelihoods, who have been damaged and destroyed. And think about this. All that area they got to plow up. They can't do it now because they don't know how many bodies are there.
They got to plow it up.
Imagine being a mom or dad, wondering where your child is. Imagine being a husband or wife, or mother or father. It's really tough stuff. Almost 500 federal personnel have been deployed to Maui to help communities and survivors get back on their feet. FEMA, search and rescue teams are sifting through the ashes in that 5-mile area that you've seen on television that's been burned. It's painstaking work. It takes time. And it's nerve-wracking. Most of the debris can't be removed until it's done.
Poor rescue workers.
My wife Jill and I are going to travel to Hawaii as soon as we can. That's what I've been talking to the governor about. I don't want to get in the way. I've been to too many disaster areas, but I want to go and make sure we got everything they need. I want to be sure we don't disrupt the ongoing recovery efforts.
Okay, I've had enough of that. We got enough video. We don't need it. We know he's a talking mouthpiece, and it's 3 days, 4 days after, and he's saying, yeah, we're going to go, but I've been in touch with the governor and the chief of police. We're not going to go till they tell us that we need to be there on the ground. And the reason he's saying that we'll get to in a minute. But, his first post about this, and I always tell you, they have to tell you what they're doing. It's a part of the freaking code. We're laser focused on getting aid to survivors, including critically needed one-time $700 payments per houseful, offering relief during an unimaginable difficult time. We have a staff on the ground dedicated to helping survivors navigate the registration process. And Anthony Blinken says, today we have announced the delivery of $200 million worth of arms and equipment to the Ukraine. Air defense, anti-armor munitions will keep Ukraine armed forces in the fight to defend their country's sovereignty, territory, and people. And Fee says he meant to say Maui, right? He meant to say Maui. Yeah, they're laser focused. Why would he use that terminology knowing that the whole entire fucking country is out there thinking that this is due? Direct energy weapons. Why? Why would he use that language? Because they have to tell you what they're doing. I tell you guys this all the time. I know it doesn't make sense, but that is the rules of the universe. Just like there's rules of gravity, there's rules with the elite. They have to tell you what they're doing, and he just told you what they're doing. So Biden gave no comment the other day, but let's talk about $700 before we get to Obama, because the real commander-in-chief came out and made a statement yesterday. But $700. $700. For one, you're on an island where everything's triple the already tripled inflation prices. And I've had a lot of friends and family that have lived in Hawaii. My father was stationed in Hawaii on and off the whole time I was growing up. My first husband, the one that worked at Dow, he went to Hawaii and built Walmarts and Safeways all through the late 90s. He was always in Hawaii the whole time. Every one of my kids was born. He was in Hawaii, back and forth, back and forth. So I know a lot about the island. I know how expensive it is to freaking live there. And so $700, that's not going to buy you a hotel room in one of the hotels, the fancy hotels that didn't burn to the ground, for what? 2 nights, 3 nights? What is it? $250? No, it's probably more like $450 in Hawaii. Because if a regular room on the mainland's $250 a night, Hawaii's got to be $450. So what? They get a couple of nights in a hotel, or what? They can buy one prescription medication that burned to the ground that they need back. I mean, how many people have to replace thousands of dollars worth of medication? Because that's the reality of America. Most of us are on hundreds and hundreds of dollars of medication. Even myself, as anti-big pharma as I am, I'm on $200 worth of meds a month. So this is just an insult. It's disgusting. It's gross. Of course, FEMA is there. We're going to get to the efforts to help them. But let's hear from Obama and what he says about it, because we all know he's the one actually pulling Biden's strings.
Aloha, everybody. Like so many people around the world, Michelle and I have been absolutely heartbroken by the devastating images coming out of Maui and Lahaina over the last week. As someone who grew up in Hawaii, as someone who has taken my family to enjoy the incredible beauty of that island and the hospitality of the people of Lahaina, we now find ourselves mourning the lives that are lost, and our thoughts and prayers go out to the families that have lost so much. The thing about it is, though, thoughts and prayers in a moment like this are not enough. We have to step up, and we have to help those families, and we have to help Lahaina rebuild. And the good news is that the Hawaii Red Cross and Malama Maui are mobilizing to provide direct support to people who are desperately in need. I'm asking you to do everything you can to generously support the Malama Maui effort. If all of us, the Ohana, pull together and do as much as we can to give back to an island and a town and people who have given us so much, I'm absolutely confident that Lahaina and Maui and those families are going to be able to rebuild. But we've got to be a part of that. So please provide generous support to the Hawaii Red Cross and to Malama Maui right now. Mahalo, nui loa.
Oh, he is so cringe, so cringe. To say to give to the American Red Cross, are you kidding me? America is not stupid. We know what they did with the Haitian relief money that we took out of our pockets and gave them. Over 25% of it went to administrative fees. We know they only built a total of 6 houses in Haiti when thousands were displaced. We have been calling the Red Cross out as a scam for many, 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 many years now. I think since Katrina. I personally have protested them in downtown Seattle. So why the fuck would I ever give a dime to the Red Cross? And Jax, I agree with you. And Max Blumenthal. Max Blumenthal says the Red Cross raised $500 million for the Haitian earthquakes relief in 2010, spent 25% on international administration costs, built 6 houses for Haitians, and refused to say it did what it did with the rest of the money. And Michelle Obama helped lead the fundraising drive. Oh yeah, don't you remember the concert, the celebrity concert where they all came out? Oh, gotta raise money for Haiti. And of course, Michelle Obama and all of her friends, the same friends that visit Epstein's Island, are the ones that, of course. So I'm sure we're going to see some shit like that. So Jack says, I once thought the Red Cross was an amazing organization. They aren't. Here's why. And they're not. They're absolutely not. And of course, Hawaii is set up to be the Digital Government Summit in September, where they are discussing how Hawaii will be the first AI ran state in the country. And this was way before any of this. This has been in the plans, in the works for a long time. And this Oprah meme, don't want to sell your beachfront property to BlackRock? Everybody gets direct energy blast. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. That's exactly, this week I was like, yeah, no, maybe it was a natural fire. That wind, the way the wind was whipping through there, it only takes a spark. And with, 100-mile-an-hour winds, everything's going to burn. Bullshit. This was intentional, and everything that led up to it was intentional. That is what makes me believe this is intentional. And I'm just going to say it here right now, just like with Paradise. This was man created. This was a land grab. They wanted that fucking property, and they're getting that property, and they're doing it in such shady ways. Okay, so now we're going to hit. I brought you guys so many TikToks and videos. So let's just start nailing them, because each slide's got 2-3 of them on there. But once you hear all of these videos and you put them together, you can deduce for yourself what the hell actually happened. Here's the first one.
Maui strong. Donation on donations. If you guys don't know, the government withholding every single one of our donations because we are not a part of FEMA and Red Cross. So none of this is eligible for giving out. Tell me why. I have no freaking clue. But Maui, we out here. Lahaina, we trying to help you guys, bro, but they not letting us. But we're gonna keep pumping. All this stuff gonna get there, bro. 5 containers are behind the Ritz. Carlton, if you can get there and you really need the stuff, crack that lock. That's for you guys. That's for you guys. Spread the word. Lahaina behind the Ritz, 5 containers full of stuff.
Okay, so basically they're not allowing donations. What happened was there was no response. The first 24 hours went by, the first 48 hours went by, and there was no government officials on the fucking ground. Not even local government officials were on the ground. So people were getting a hold of their other family members that live on other islands and saying, we don't have any food, we don't have any water, we don't have any blankets, we don't have anything, we don't have medicine. So what were the family members that lived on other islands doing? Packing it all up, taking their boats out there, jumping on their jet skis and dropping it off. But the government says, no, this is not approved by the US government, meaning our subcontractors not getting the money for shipping this over and distributing it. So no, we don't want your donations because they're not a government approved. So here's a video of them delivering by jet ski. I had to mute this one because it had some Tool music playing in the background. Great choice of music though. But look at this. This is how they're working to actually get supplies to people on the island that are there. And that's because the government ports where you would normally come in and dock, or how you would get on the island normally, you can't. They're being guarded. They're arresting people. They are literally arresting people who are bringing donations of a cane, like a cane. Are you kidding me? Nope, can't have that. It's not government approved at all. But this right here, this is America. These are Americans. We help each other out. We support each other. We are there for each other in a time of need. So no matter what shitty response we get from our government, we can rely on one another. Mutual aid, man. I always say it. Okay. Like I said, we got a lot of videos, so we're just going to keep going through.
We'll make it happen. Do not sell to anybody outside. We will get you back in your house. No matter what we have to do, we will get the funding to make sure that we can rebuild everybody's homes. Our community leaders should be at the forefront in decision making for our place.
Okay, so basically, here, we'll watch this next one and then we'll talk about it.
But that's what I've been told, is that like we can't use our water now. And so I would love to be somewhere else. I don't even particularly want to be here, and I'm losing money by being here. And you know, the real situation is they are telling us basically that if we leave our house, we can't come back. We don't. So they're deciding what water we drink, what food we eat, where we go, who we talk to, and I can't get out and do my normal job, and I'm getting all this pushback. And, you know, I have nothing to gain from any of this and plenty to lose. The only reason that I'm continuing to do this is because I think it's important that somebody gets the real story out to the masses, that you guys actually understand what's going on. Because I made the mistake during the Florida thing. I made the mistake of selling one clip. I sold one clip, you know, made about $1,000, sold it to a major media outlet, and then they edited it. They put their own spin on it. What they said had fucking nothing to do with what was actually going on. And so I said, the hell with that. I'm not doing that again. I'm going to do this for free. I'm going to just show what's going on, and I won't be. I've had dozens of major media outlets contact me since I started covering West Maui, wanting my clips, and I've sold it to none of them. So I'm losing money. So anybody in the comments who says that I'm doing this for personal gain and that, you know, all this other bullshit, they don't know what they're talking about.
Okay, so let's talk about the history of Lahana a little bit. So what, late 1800s, like 1896. I mean, I could be wrong. I'm just trying to go off memory. The US goes in there, and they're a sovereign nation. They have their own queen, Hawaii. The native people of Hawaii, they have their own sovereign nation, their own island. Well, the US decides we need those islands so we can build a military base. It gets us closer to Japan and, helps us defend the West Coast mainland of the United States. So we go in there, we imprison their queen, we take them over, and we tell them, you are now Americans. And if you think about when we took over the sovereign nations in the mainland, it was 80 years, 100 years, sometimes 150 years before this. So this wasn't that long ago. What, 120 years ago? So the generations, they remember and they hate the United States. I have seen, there's a video out there and I'll never forget it because it was such an amazing moving video. And I've seen it moving around. I didn't bring it, of a native islander. And she is saying, don't think that you're American. You're not American. You are Hawaiian and we are our own people, and we are strong people, and they are. And I think they fucked with the wrong town, because this was where the Hawaiian capital actually was back when it was native, and they've done a lot to keep it, historical and preserve it. And that's what burned to the ground, was this town. And the people have lived there for over 100 years. Some families have been there forever. They're not going to sell their land. They wouldn't sell their land. And there's been a lot of pressure in the last couple of years for them to sell this land, because this is prime property. This is where all the elites want to be. We're going to talk about who has houses there, but they wouldn't sell. They come together. They won't even take offers. They won't even talk to people. But now, if you leave your burned out property, you're forfeiting it, and somebody can come in and just buy it. So this guy's like, I can't leave. They've shut the water off. They shut the water off an hour before the fire. Why'd they shut the water off an hour before the fire? But they didn't shut the power off. Power lines were still hot and going down. And I have seen the power lines hitting the ground, sparking the trees, sparking the grass, and creating fire. But I don't think that's how this fire started, because when you look at the weather map, right, like with Paradise, you can see a flash on the Doppler, and you can see, boom, it ignited. On this one, all of a sudden, boom, there's just fires all over the island. And yes, there was a hurricane, but she was 300 miles off the coast. Now, could she have been whipping winds? Absolutely. But I don't buy that when they shut the water off. Why did they shut the water off? Why did they cancel school that day? Why were all the kids home that day on a normal, regular school day? I haven't even heard their excuse for why they canceled school that day. Isn't that crazy? Crazy conspiracies. Okay, here's a couple more videos.
And at some point, I will make a major donation after all of the smoke and ashes have settled here. And we figure out what the rebuilding is going to look like. This is going to be a long and difficult process.
She's so evil.
But
meanwhile, and I wanted to share some local updates, shocking or maybe not. About the fires? Did you hear that the government of Hawaii states their goal is to rebuild and make the entire island of Maui the first smart island? They want the entire island governed by AI, as outlined in the Hawaii Digital Government Summit of 2023, that they plan to host next month on September 25th, 2023 on Maui. Wow. Now they're going to come to the rescue for this horrible problem. And last January in 2023, there was a smart city conference in Maui to turn Maui again into the smart city island, pushing everything electric, making 15-minute smart cities. And there was also a contract last year to build a high-rise condo complex and businesses in Lahaina, which is a historic town that couldn't have any new development in this area. But now it's demolished. So now I guess they have to
Yeah, Oprah, fuck that bitch. She can burn in hell where she belongs. How come it is that every single person Oprah manages to surround herself is some kind of, you know, diabolical evil monster? From Weinstein to Obama to Bruce Springsteen. I mean, you always see her hanging out with these questionable elites. And it's always the nicest people, right? It's always the people who put the nicest persona out there that are the evilest. I mean, we saw this in Tom Hanks. We've seen it in it's just, I just tell people, "Oh, that's a terrible person." Like, "What are you talking about? They do so much good." No, they don't do so much good. Okay, so they're not letting before let me set this next clip up. They're not letting you leave the island. If you leave or leave the town, if you leave your property, you can't get back in. And so how they're handling the distribution of stuff that is actually making it in there and the locals, this is insane. So they're passing out vouchers, like you have to have a pass card in order to leave your property and get back to your property. But we're going to talk about why they're doing that.
I'm doing a voiceover. This is footage earlier at Nepealy Park. I didn't feel safe speaking freely about the situation while I was there, but the police are issuing permission slips for residents to freely come and go to their homes, to other parts of the island.
How long have you guys been in line to get these? 3 hours? Been in line 3 hours, but it's probably longer now, you know.
Okay, I just didn't want to talk over where I was actually speaking live there, but I'm going to walk along the line so you can see there are thousands of people here at this park. There were two separate locations where they told people to come get these permission slips, which would allow them to leave their houses, travel to other parts of the island that were unaffected, and return. Now, one very important thing to note with all of this is many of these people, including us, live approximately 20 minutes away from the fire, and we are very, very far away from any structure or any, any building, car, anything like that that was directly affected by the fire. We watched the fire from very far away, and there was no fire here. Another important thing to note is the power is now back on. At the time, at least where we live, the power is back on at the time that I'm making this video, but we do not have communication, and we have some other issues still. Now, the thing that I don't understand, and I've asked many people who are police, who work for the mayor's office, I've asked them why this is necessary, why people cannot go freely from their houses to other parts of the island that were unaffected and that have medical supplies and other things that they may need, and free communication to the outside world without having to hike to the top of a hill and get to a tower on Molokai, which is what I've been having to do. And nobody's been able to tell me why this is necessary, what the safety concern is with people who live here leaving their houses and returning.
Okay, I'm going to tell you what the police are saying. So here's another coinky dink. The chief of police of Maui, a new resident to the island, was the chief commander for the Las Vegas massacre. Huh. What are the odds? That's so crazy. What a coinky dink. Well, I'm here to tell you there is no coincidences. So what he is saying is that there is a large amount of looting. I don't know what the hell is there to loot any longer. They say that there's violence happening, people robbing other people, and that the residents and people going there and walking around are literally walking through the bodies of those who perished in the fire. Now, 1,400 people are missing. They're saying, we see the fire. We see how hot it was, how intense it was. They're saying they don't have bodies to recover. They have piles of ashes to recover. And so they're trying to stop people from getting in there because they've got search and rescue in there trying to recover bodies. They're trying to collect DNA. They don't want the, people's trauma. And I get that. I do get that. But why the fuck are you guys bringing tourists in? Do you guys know that there's still tourists going to that island, taking their snorkeling trip just off the coast? Are you kidding me? It infuriates the people that are struggling and scared. Like, what is this, disaster tourism? Yeah, come by. Let's see how bad it was for these people. I mean, that is revolting and disgusting. And if you have a trip planned to Hawaii and you don't fucking cancel it, especially to Waikiki, whatever, the mental gymnastics that people do to tell themselves that that's okay. It's not okay. But here's the problem. They're not allowing the people that live there to move in and out, right? They can't go over to the next town over because I heard an interview with somebody who was on the opposite side of the island who said, you would never know that there's anything even fucking going on. Everything's normal and just daily routine on this side of the island, but you go, 15 minutes the other way and it's all out disaster zone. It's insane. I can't even imagine why anybody would be trying to vacation there right now. Selfish, fucking disgusting Americans. That's what I see. It's so gross. And yeah, Oprah is worth $2.8 billion. You tell me, how the hell did she get $2.8 billion for that shitty talk show through the 90s? How? I think there's something else involved in this, and I'm just going to say human trafficking. Oh, did I say that out loud? Yes, I fucking did. Jilly sent me pictures yesterday of Obama that will blow your freaking mind. I couldn't even bring them to YouTube. There's no way. I will take a strike for those, and I know it. So guess what? We're going to do it uncensored on Friday morning, even if it's only an hour-long show, because you guys got to see this shit. I don't know if they're doctored, but that is insane. Yeah, I just Googled it. It said 2.8. So who knows? They all just come up with their own numbers when it comes to net worth, right? She has billions. We know that, right? She's in the Forbes top 10, I'm sure, or top 15. It's disgusting. But she's not the only celebrity that is there feeding off of the island and trying to take it over. So wouldn't you know the good luck of these fuckers? So every one of these guys owns a home on Maui, and it didn't burn. So part of Hawaii that got destroyed by the fires was prime land next to luxury mega mansions. How the hell the fire knew to avoid a part of the island where the celebrities have their multi-million-dollar homes. So Julia Roberts' home, Will Smith, of course, Bill Gates. I confirmed to everybody on this list except for Jim Carrey. And if he's on this list, he probably has a home there. But I did confirm that, Oprah, Bezos, Gaga, Ellison, Roberts, Smith, and Gates all had properties there that did not burn. Jim Carrey, I want to believe that Jim Carrey is a nice guy and he's awake and he's not a part of this fucking Hollywood elite cult, but at the end of the day, he is one of them. He's not one of us, So yeah, I absolutely believe it. Let's hear what this video is.
Hello everybody, just coming on here to give a quick update on some of the ridiculous things that are going on for us here in Lahaina. I'm okay. I have my home in Honokohau Valley. For those of you who don't know, it is my grandmother's house that was completely engulfed and taken by the fire. I got to my grandmother's house about 30 minutes before it was completely engulfed, and it's gone. It's burnt to the ground. But the problem right now is not, obviously it's all still a problem, but people here are suffering. There's not enough supplies, there's not enough food, there's not enough water, there's not enough gas, not enough propane. There's nothing here. There are people that are trying to bring all of these things in right now, currently as we speak. About 2 minutes ago, somebody just told me that they got turned away, regardless if they were a resident of Lahaina, regardless if they're a resident of Honokohau Valley, which I am from, and even people that live in Kahakuloa, which is closest to a lot of these roadblocks, are having a hard time even getting to their own homes. Now, the question is, and this is something similar that's been happening at Honolulu Bay this recent time, when we had the means to save and protect and prevent a catastrophe from happening. The public did, but our state and our federal government, like the Coast Guard, they denied us access to go and help. Now they're doing the same thing again at these roadblocks, denying people access to bring in supplies, just supplies for people to live. And I get it that they don't want to let all these people in because they're already spread thin, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It is a decimated area. I can't even tell you what the things that I've seen, and people want to leave. There are people here that want to leave, but they don't have gas to put in their car to leave. People are trying to bring gas in so that these people can just jump in their car and leave Lahaina. Take away the strain from the shelters, take away the strain from the food and water that they're taking from when they have a place that they can go to. Yet our state is still denying people access, and they're not doing it friendly. I was on the phone just recently with Tiari Lawrence, and the cop on the other side of the phone was talking to her, talking down to her. Like, bro, people are in distress. People need these products. People need these supplies. Yet they're turning people away. I'm afraid. I have so many people here that I'm housing at my own place that I don't have enough food for. I don't have enough water for. Yet I'm afraid that if I leave to go and get the things that I do need, they won't let me back in. Right? My grandma, she needs her medicine. I have to go to Kahului to go get that myself. Nobody's gonna bring that here. Things are very specific to some people, and they need to get out and they need to get back in. Yet the state is failing us again. Okay, so people, I don't even know. I'm lost for words. I don't even know what to do, how to go about this problem. But if anybody has any recommendations, please do put it in the comments and give me a call. If you have any ways to get certain things into Lahaina, with whatever avenue, with the police officers, if you can get an escort in or whatever, I don't even know. But there are things here that are specific to people, and more people are gonna die. More than has already been, more lives than I can even count. I've seen, and people are gonna die when they don't need to.
And we see this with natural disaster responses in our government over and over. I mean, who remembers Katrina? My kids lived through Katrina, and it took weeks for us to find out the level of devastation and how many people unnecessarily died after waiting for help. And that's where, these people are right now. They're waiting for help. And what are they dealing with? Strong-armed bully fucking cops. You're just going to do what I said. I don't care that you just lost your entire life and your family. I'm going to tell you and you're going to listen. That's what they fucking do. That is the brown shirts of this country. Rob Juno, thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you, Shanda. Thank you. No, thank you. You guys make this possible. I wouldn't do it if it wasn't for y'all. Okay, let's see what this is. I think this is land grab. This is talking about how they've been trying to land grab for a long time now, and this just cleared the way for them.
Not that long ago, Hawaiian government officials in the areas that were just affected by the wildfires passed a law saying that that land could not be redistricted for new building permits unless some sort or some type of a serious natural disaster occurred. Serious natural disaster occurred. And what did we have happen through those 3 districts of very sacred land to the Hawaiians? A very serious natural disaster. I'm not going to get into space lasers and all of that shit, but people called their insurance companies after the fire, and the insurance companies, for the first time, informed them that there was zoning infractions on their land. so they would not honor their insurance policies. And within 24 hours of these people losing their homes, the same developers who the Hawaiian elders fought in court to have that law passed are already calling these people and making them offers for their homes. This is what happens when the government sticks their fingers in everything. The government's in the insurance industry.
Yep.
They're talking to people who are paying for their campaigns, which are the buyers of this land. And they say to these people, hey, let us know when they call you to get their insurance claims, and let us know when you deny them, so we can then give them a call right away and scoop in and swoop in and be the heroes.
Give them pennies.
So they're going to get this land that they're going to develop into millions of dollars worth of property, and the Hawaiian elders are going to get fuck all. They're going to get screwed over. And this happens everywhere. There's too many coincidences for this not to be shady.
I agree.
Wake up.
Wake up. I 100% agree with that. There's too many coincidences to make this just a natural happening. And then these investors already calling family members to see if they'll sell to them. If there was an ordinance just not too long ago saying no new construction, now the whole goddamn town's going to be new construction. So that just opens the door for them. But let me tell you the craziest part of this. Did you know that there's already attorneys filing a lawsuit against the Hawaiian Electricity Company? Why? Because they always have to have a scapegoat, so that way they can quell the conspiracy theorists and say, no, this was a natural occurrence. They should have shut the power off. And there was all that grass that they had there to feed cows that they don't even feed anymore. That's what caught fire. So it is ultimately the electrical company's fault. So they're already got a lawsuit in the works. It's already class action filed. That was pretty goddamn fast, if you ask me. And they did the same thing in Paradise, too. Okay, a couple more videos.
Wall Street's really trying to buy up all the burnt up homes in Hawaii after the wildfires for a discount.
Okay, I gotta tell you guys, I am so frustrated with investors and realtors calling the families who lost their home, offering to buy their land. How dare you do that to our community right now?
Fucking late stage capitalism. Oh wait, hold on. You mean to tell me that thousands of indigenous people living in Lahaina who had already been colonized before recently lost their homes because the power company, mostly owned by BlackRock and Vanguard, forgot to turn the electricity off when their fucking shit was catching fire. So when they finally toppled over, they started burning the guinea grass that was planted by the Dole Corporation about 200 years ago to feed cows, till they decided, oh, we don't want to feed cows anymore. We're just going to let this shit grow and don't worry about mowing the lawn, everything will be fine. And it could have been fine if fossil fuel companies didn't spend the last 70 years trying to convince everyone that global warming wasn't real, until it fucking was, and it dried up all the grass and turned it into tinder.
And I need you guys to do me a favor and get their name and their business name, and we're gonna put them on blast. That is some pilau. Please spread the word. If you're a victim and they are reaching out to you, DM me their name, business, try to get as much information out of these guys, and send it to me. And if you're a victim, trust that we are going to rebuild Lahaina.
Late-stage capitalism in America taught me that a natural disaster is God's way of telling me that indigenous people's shit belongs to me. So let me put an offer on your burnt home. Like, who said the American dream's not alive and well? Like, you don't gotta be a billionaire like Jeff Bezos or like Larry Ellison to buy an entire island. Just wait for a natural disaster and then go use mommy and daddy's old property money to go buy some new shit in Hawaii, right? Like, fuck.
Please don't. I know it's hard and like it may feel a lot easier to just want to move to the continent, but we cannot keep displacing our people. We need to make sure you guys can go back home.
Side note, you gotta know we're in the end game to capitalism when Jeff Bezos, of all people, is the most reasonable person on that island. Like, think about it. Larry Ellis owns an entire fucking island swimming distance away from Lahaina, and you got Oprah Winfrey with over 2,000 acres that's a 15-minute drive from the disaster area. And not one fucking person that's not a native can give two shits about all the homeless people that have been displaced. But like, you know, fucking Jeff Bezos to the
rescue, right? Okay, so this is yesterday, and this is the links that people are going to get information out. They're recording other people's recordings. Check this out. This is the police shutting down a donation site.
Crazy.
Powers that be.
The reasoning.
Not sure.
All I know is the order has come down to shut down the distribution of these placards. That's all I have for you.
I'm just doing my job, man. I'm just doing my job. I don't know. The powers that be said y'all can't be here and get any help, so you need to go. A couple of notes that I had for myself. I have lots of notes, but do you know Mark Zuckerberg owns more acreage in Hawaii than the Hawaiian government owns? Yeah. Oprah has 1,000-acre home. I know he said 2,000, but I couldn't confirm 2,000. I could only confirm a little over 1,000. And it's pristine and untouched. Now, see, these celebrities come in and they say, oh my God, we can't have people living here and building houses. This is pristine land that we want to preserve and keep this way. So Oprah turns her land into a little, her big old mansion, and then just property. It's not like she opens it up as a public park or, a place for tourism or anything. No, it's just hers, and stay the fuck off her property. And that's the way they all roll, right? And they always want the property next door and the next door and the next door because, hey, you can't have anybody close to you when you're that special and that important. It's so gross. It's so sick. Let's see. What other notes do I have on here? Oh, every single one of those people on that list was on Epstein Island. Do you see the parallels? Do you see them? Yeah, I do. Let's see. I got so many notes. I don't want to miss anything because there's just so much. The kids were home from school. We knew that. The Maui police chief was the same one from Vegas. They've historically been fighting the billionaires for years, trying to keep the celebrities out. The attorneys got the election, or I've already got a lawsuit. I'm surprised they haven't blamed this on Russia yet, right? They could just say, because they've been telling us that Russia has right? They have space lasers. So why didn't they just blame this on Russia and say this was an attack by Russia? Just saying, it's never too late, right? 6 months from now, they could be like, well, after doing our investigation, we can tell you now that, yeah, that was a funky fire. And we think that Russia started it. I'm just putting it out there. I'm not saying they're saying that. I'm just saying I'm surprised they haven't said that. Tourists are coming in there. The thing is these celebrities, who's going to serve them now? That's the problem. They don't have anywhere for workers to live now. They just burned all the workers' homes down to the fucking ground. So what? When you come back, you will work for a corporation who will pay for your house, who will give you your wages, who you will buy from the company store. This is the future that they want. We got away as workers. We got away from this shit 100 years ago, right? Working for the company. I literally live on land that was part of a huge mill company. So when they founded my area in the Pacific Northwest, they had a mill come up here. They took over. They built houses for the workers. They built a little tiny general store that you got store credit, and there was actually coins that were minted for the workers to pay at the store. And most of that infrastructure is still here. It's kind of old and cool and classic, but the workers got fucking screwed. They 100% got screwed. How do you go pay for something if you've got a coin that only works at this place? And this is the future that's coming for all of us with these 15-minute goddamn cities. You will own nothing and you will be happy. Why? Because your food will be delivered to your house, by your corporation that you work for, which is the corporate house that you live in, and the corporate vehicle, if you're lucky enough to have a vehicle. I think you're going to have to be high-tiered to have a vehicle. This is the future that's coming for all of us with these 15-minute cities. Let's talk about this. Is it called the pula? Or no, it's the banyo tree. Now, this is the most historic tree in Hawaii. This they worship this tree, like it has significant connection with their heritage and their tribal leaders, and this is a protected tree, and it didn't burn, but you can see, look at all the trees that are still standing. The houses are gone, but the trees are still there. This tree did burn, but I watched an interview at 3:00 this morning with an arborist who they brought in. He is the top arborist in Hawaii, who says the tissue on the tree is still alive. They're going to keep the tree wet. They're not going to cut all the burnt stuff off because they need that to shelter the tree. And they're hoping in 6 months that the tree will start to sprout again and that it's not a total loss. So, I mean, that's good news for the islanders. And, you know, you guys know I love trees. I don't know what it is with me and trees, but how odd that that tree didn't burn and everything around it did. How is that? Just find that odd. Very odd. So there's a couple of different reasons that they're saying that that everything burned as hard as it did. Why do we see these cars melted down to the metal? Well, a lot of people say that it's because of the chemtrails, because of the aluminum, strontium, barium that they drop on us. And it's just a coincidence that the native islanders are reporting that they were chemtrailed like they had never seen in the hours leading up to this. How odd. I just find it odd, right? And we saw this with Paradise too. Is it all the crap they're dumping on us that's making these fires burn so hot? Geoengineering, you know, we're going to talk about, I'm going to do a deep dive into direct energy weapons on Friday. I'm going to give you the history. Most people don't think that they exist. They've existed for a long time, thanks to Gen X. Gen X, we were the ones that were going to get lasers, man. We wanted freaking lasers, and we've got them. And they are in space. They are operational. Our government has them, and so does every major government around the world. So don't think for 1 second that direct energy is just pie in the sky conspiracy, because it's not. And I'm going to bring you guys the reports, the patents, and what the government is saying about it. I mean, even the State Department has admitted that we have these weapons, but we don't use them. We don't use them, right? So yeah, lasers, man. Let's see. I think that's about all I have video wise. I didn't want to bring you every video I saw yesterday. And I saw a lot of videos with a lot of deceased. I couldn't bring those just out of respect to the people and, you know, the children. You guys, a lot of children are missing. A lot of children, you know, they were home by themselves, latchkey kids, parents were at work. You know, this is disgusting the way this went down, and it's not going to go away for a long time. I can tell you that. We're going to keep looking into it, but I definitely want to talk about directed energy weapons and geoengineering and how the two work together, because they do work together. So that's where that is. Okay, wow, we spent an hour on that. Okay, let's get moving. I told you guys this is going to be a long show. Let's talk about Trump and his indictment. Do you guys remember when you used to hear the music for a special report come on the news when you were a kid and you were like, oh, something bad must really be happening? Yeah, I don't think that anymore. Let's hear from a special report from Lester.
This is an NBC News special report. Here's Lester Holt.
Good evening. We're coming on the air with breaking news out of Georgia, where former President Trump was just indicted for the 4th time, this time for his alleged efforts to overturn Georgia's 2020 election results. Let's go straight to Blaine Alexander outside the courthouse. Blaine, what do we know about the indictment?
Well, Lester, we are just now getting a look at this. This has just been published on the county court's website. But as you mentioned, we do know that former President Donald Trump is among the defendants. What's remarkable here, though, Lester, is that it is not just Donald Trump. There are a number of his allies that are also being charged in this indictment. Now, we're still digging through this and finding out more about what these charges entail and who all is being charged along with the former president. But we can certainly say that already we are seeing a number that is numbering in the double digits of defendants. So this certainly sets it apart from the other legal challenges, Lester, that the former president is facing. This is an investigation that spanned more than 2.
Okay, I'm over her. Sometimes I put cuts in these, sometimes I don't, but most of the time I just get sick of listening to it. You know, that music, dun, 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 right? And so Pasta says, Craig Pasta Jardula says, how cheesy these journalists look as they try their hardest to make believe that this is breaking news. Stop, Lester. You you washed up dumbass. Nobody takes you serious. And these indictments are not serious. Protesting an election is a constitutional right. Their charges are nothing more than a political hit job. And I absolutely believe that. Not that I think Trump's a good guy, but come on. This is just past the point of ridiculous now. Let me get past that. What do you guys think? They got him this time? Did they got him finally? United Spots dropping stuff left and right. That's hilarious. And of course, I will bring it all to Saturday. I try to save it, all the funnies up for Saturday. So it's just a fucking joke. We are a joke. We are Banana Republic. And if you don't know what that is, go check out the Banana Man over on YouTube. It'll give you a nice history of a Banana Republic and how we become a Banana Republic. And that's exactly what we are. This is disgusting. It's disgraceful. And the rest of the world is laughing at us for this shit. So Van Jones, the former director of the revolutionary Mosaic organization Storm, was organizing anti-police brutality actions, describes the latest Trump indictment as proof that the beauty of our system and people around the world don't have this. Oh my God, so gross.
It's incumbent on a bigger slice of America than even just these little cowardly candidates to start talking about the beauty of our institutions. This is a beautiful system that we have. People around the world don't have this.
A beautiful system that we have. That's funny. You don't call it beautiful on most days. The hypocrisy, it's just disgusting. Yeah, I agree. Van Jones sucks. Max Blumenthal. You can get his book at the dollar store. I did find Van Jones's book at the dollar store many years ago, and I think I gave it away at my garage sale. These people think that they are somebody and that people are actually listening to them. Nobody's listening except for TDS. Who's watching CNN's coverage of Trump? Will they get him this time? Maybe. Do they ever get him? I don't know. But Trump's made a statement, and I'm going to bring it. But let's hear from Glenn Greenwald first about, how they villainize Trump and they make him stronger.
In one way, it's natural that political alliances shift as different issues go to the fore and alliances change as a result. But I think something much more important is that liberalism itself has changed largely by virtue of Donald Trump, because liberals as a defining view, maybe as an overarching view,
maybe Democrats, not liberals.
Yeah, by liberals I just mean kind of the mainstream wing of the Democratic Party, the way Hillary Clinton calls herself progressive. So again, illustrating the bankruptcy of these terms. But by liberals, I just mean kind of like the Nancy Pelosi, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, Chuck Schumer wing, have come to believe that the overarching way to understand politics is that there's one primary menace and risk to the United States, which is Donald Trump, his movement, and the Republican Party. And it's not just that they have a bad ideology, but that they're actual fascists trying to instill a white nationalist dictatorship. And if you actually believe that, if that's something that you genuinely believe, on some level it becomes rational to start embracing authoritarian methods of resisting that, of combating that, censoring, using due process-free processes to punish people and deprive them of their liberty. And I think anytime a political movement gets convinced that it is no longer involved in a political debate, but a historic war between pure good and pure evil, it starts to turn to authoritarian tactics to win because it believes that's justified or even necessary. And those authoritarian tactics happens to be the ones that the left traditionally had opposed and now are embracing. And I guess Matt and I didn't decide that we were going to change our views of the last 30 years about these issues. And that has caused this organic breach, not just between us two, but others like us. And as I said, anyone who finds themselves outside of liberal orthodoxy automatically receives the far right label.
Yep, we do, right? So it was okay for Hillary Clinton, and I know there's a 5-minute video out there, I don't think I brought it, of all of the Dems, it might even be longer, in 2016, 2017, how Hillary Clinton was robbed, how the election was rigged, Donald Trump stole it. We need to overturn this. We need to get the electors not to vote for it. I know, because, I was a part of the Dems at that point, and I was still walking that line of, I'm a progressive, fuck you guys, but I still support you guys on things. So, of course, they got us progressives to come in and support their fight to overthrow the electors in 2016. I'm friends with our elector from Washington State at the time, and I wouldn't say friends, frenemies, but there was an actual legit push to overturn 2016, but that's never talked about. But God damn it, Trump does it, and he needs to go to prison for it, right? It's disgusting and hypocritical. That's what the Dems shouldn't even be called Dems. They should just be called the hypocrites, because that's what they are. 100% hypocrites. Always accuse, your opponent of what you're doing. And that is what the Dems have always done. So right there just tells you, right? And we know how 2020 went down. We were there for it. So Trump yesterday had a statement that he put out after his fourth indictment. Let's hear from Trump.
It is now 100% proven that the Biden crime family
100
received more than $20 million from foreign countries while Crooked Joe was vice president, and probably a lot more than that. That's just the money they found. Not one of Joe Biden's defenders has even attempted to explain what Joe and his family did, including his children and his grandchildren. What were they doing getting all of this money? I believe we have a compromised president. He was bribed, and now he's being blackmailed. He's a Manchurian candidate. That's why Crooked Joe is letting other countries walk all over the United States. He's afraid to bring it up. He doesn't want to talk about it. He's petrified of China because they know exactly how much money has been given to him.
I think you're giving him too much credit.
They know exactly where it is. China has paid him a fortune. Just think of what China has gotten for all that money. Biden shut down my administration's initiative targeting Chinese spies in the United States. He shut it down cold. He let China off the hook for COVID.
Oh, God.
He shut down the investigation into the origins of the China virus. He did
China
nothing
virus.
as China began setting up bases in Cuba, taking over South America, and threatening Taiwan. They even took over the Panama Canal. We spent a fortune building it. Jimmy Carter's administration sold it for $1.
$1.
We lost 36,000 people building the Panama Canal. The mosquitoes got them.
Mosquitoes
Malaria.
got
The
them.
mosquitoes got them. And now China controls it. Russia and China are even doing military exercises near the Aleutian Islands, right off the coast of Alaska. And Biden sits back on his hands. He does nothing. This never would have happened if I was president. If they even thought about it, I would have shut it down.
Yeah,
instantly.
just like
There's
you
no way
arrested
they would have
Hillary.
done any
Lock
of
her
this
up.
kind
Whatever.
of thing, including Russia invading Ukraine, would have never happened.
I
And
agree.
China wouldn't even be thinking about Taiwan right now. Crooked Joe's corruption is a glaring threat to national security. Between the millions and millions of dollars he's gotten from China and the millions of dollars from Ukraine, Joe Biden's greed and criminality is going to get us into World War III. We're going to be in World War III with this guy. Grossly incompetent man. Now the corrupt Biden DOJ is continuing the cover-up with the appointment of a special counsel to block further investigation. It's the very same U.S. attorney who cut Hunter Biden the scandalous plea deal that was such a scam it didn't survive the barest scrutiny in court. It was done under what's called blue slip. It wasn't picked in that position by President Trump. It was picked by the Democrat senators in the state. It's called a blue slip. You'll check it out. But they picked him. I didn't pick him. This is corruption like our country has never seen before. That is why as soon as I am reelected, I will appoint a real special counsel, or maybe you'll call it a special prosecutor, whatever you want to call it, you can, to look at all of these bribes, kickbacks, and other crimes, as well as the shameless attempt at a cover-up. Justice will be done. The Biden crime family will be looked at.
Nobody believes
We
you.
have to get there first. We have to win the election. They're trying to step in my way at every path because the one person they don't want to run is Donald Trump. But when we get there, the Biden crime family will pay a price like other people are being forced to pay. And that price will be very, very substantial. It'll be fair. But you know what? If they're guilty, they're going to be guilty. What they are doing to justice in this country has never even been thought of before. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I want to see somebody animate that, and I want, when he gets to the Panama Canal part, there was mosquitoes, and I want mosquitoes flying around. I can envision in my head. I just see it as funny. But, sorry, Trump, I don't believe you. Remember when you promised to lock crooked Hillary up? Can you come up with any new names? I mean, there's a lot of names you can call Joe, and Crooked Joe, he could have came up with something new. I'd love to believe him. You would think that he would want revenge for all of these indictments that they're doing against him. But I kind of find Trump a pussy when it comes to this shit, right? He rolled over for the military industrial complex, did anything those generals told him to do, Operation Warp Speed. He could have locked the Clintons up. He could have instructed his Department of Justice to actually fucking do something about these criminals, but he didn't. Why? Because they were all friends. They used to be in the same clique. They run in the same circles. They have overlapping business deals. Bullshit. And Giuliani, did you know that Giuliani was the one that made the fucking phone call that protected the Purdue Sackler family from their prosecution and got them a settlement? It's so freaking gross. All of these swamp creatures, including Trump, need to go. They all need to go. America is done with all of your corrupt asses. Every single one of you. Nope, I can't bring myself, even if it is up against Biden and Trump, I'm not going to vote for either of those assholes because I'm not supporting evil. Let's see. Oz, you added this. What is this?
Thank you for joining us.
Oh, geez.
I'm here with the prosecutors and investigators who have worked diligently on the investigation of criminal attempts to interfere in the administration of Georgia's 2020 presidential election. Today, based on information developed by that investigation, a Fulton County grand jury returned a true bill of indictment, charging 19 individuals with violations of Georgia law arising from a criminal conspiracy to overturn the results of the 2020 presidential election in this state. The indictment includes 41 felony counts and is 97 pages long. Please remember that everyone charged in this bill of indictment is presumed innocent. Specifically, the indictment brings felony charges against Donald John Trump.
Oh my gosh. Oz, did you do that? Who did that? Was that Joe? Who did that? Somebody did that. That was funny. And I love that you used his actual voice. That's funny. Guys, find yourself a woman that loves and protects you as much as special counsel David Weiss does with Hunter Biden. Yeah. Isn't it crazy how we're going to investigate ourselves and we're going to find that we did nothing wrong. So watch the defectives. No evidence choir has gone silent. Democrats now accept that Hunter was selling influence and access, but now they won't believe that Joe Biden was involved until they see the canceled check prove it. And I like this question. Let's see. Pardon Trump and the Biden families in exchange for never running for president again. Neither of them. What do you think? You think that's a good idea? To pardon both of them and say, we'll pardon both of you, just go away? Yeah, no. We both know that we have a two-tier justice system in this country for the poor and for the rich. And the rich, they never pay. And nothing's going to come of any of that shit. Are you kidding? Not even. Okay, so yesterday, RFK Jr. was out on the campaign trail in Iowa because they're all at the Iowa State Fair, right? And apparently, Cornel West had said in an interview that Kennedy's family was responsible for bugging Martin Luther King. And they asked him, a reporter asked Robert F. Kennedy Jr. What his response to Cornell saying that was. So let's check it out. It's hard to hear. I'm going to crank it out. Bobby's voice, it's hard to hear him, especially if the mic is really far away. So I'll do my best.
Mr. Kennedy, Dr. Cornell West was just on the Breakfast Club. When he was asked about you and your family, he said he loves you guys, but he did say that your family put FBI surveillance on Dr. Martin Luther King and kept track of it. Do you have any comment on that?
Yeah, it's true. And
it's true.
The history of it is that J. Edgar Hoover believed that there was that Martin Luther King was being influenced by communists on his staff, and that he went to my father, who was then Attorney General, and he asked to wiretap him. And my father reluctantly agreed, but then President Kennedy famously took Martin Luther King for a walk in the Rose Garden and told him that he was being bugged. And by the way, I'm very happy that Cornell West is running. Cornell West has been very, very good on the Ukraine war. And I think he has the same concerns that I do about the middle class of this country being strip mined by big corporations of their equity and their wealth.
What do you say to Democrats that are saying that he's spoiled?
Well, I'm saying that we live in a democracy. We're not a Soviet state where the party gets to pick the nominee. We're supposed to be living in a democracy, and we're living at a period in history. There's many, many Americans who believe that the system is rigged against them. Not only the whole economic system,
it is
the political system, but also the electoral system. I think it's really important today that both political parties make every effort they can to make sure that these elections are models of a democratic process. That America, that there are candidates who are debating, that there are candidates who are doing town halls, retail politics, visiting the nail salons, visiting the farms, visiting the barber shops, visiting the gas stations and the diners, and listening to Americans rather than just listening to their funders. Oh, I think that's critical, and the more people are running, the better it is for American democracy. So I welcome Cornell West to the race, and I'm very grateful that he's delivering the kind of important messages that he's talking about.
Mr. Kennedy, would you support the 2024 Democratic nominee if it's not yourself?
I don't know who it's going to be, so I wouldn't answer that question, and I expect to be the nominee.
Would you consider running as an independent?
No, probably not.
So he just said he's not going to run as an independent. Am I too loud now? Sorry, I'll turn down a little bit. He's not going to run as an independent. He does like that Cornell is in the fight because he's talking about Ukraine. You guys know what I think about RFK Jr. Just a Democratic sheepdog. And he says, oh, I don't know if I'll support the nominee. Depends on who it is. Bullshit. You're going to support him because you're a sheepdog and that's what you're doing there. I still am voting for Giant Meteor 2024. And so one more Robert F. Kennedy. I had to bring you this interview with him and Greta Van. For as much plastic surgery as she's got, you think she would have got her money's worth, but she didn't. So this is what he will do on his first day in office, because we know that's never going to happen. But if it did.
All right, now let's turn to government censorship. What's going on with this government censorship?
2 attorney generals brought a case against the censorship by the White House. One of the things that it says in this lawsuit is that I was the first one that was censored by the Biden White House. Biden came in on January 21st, 2021. On the 23rd, White House officials contacted Facebook and asked them to take my account down. And I lost my Instagram account, which is part of Facebook, 3 weeks later, 900,000 followers. There was no misinformation on that account. Every posting that I made was cited to a peer-reviewed publication or a government database. They had to invent a new word called malinformation. Malinformation is, and this is in the judge's decision, is information that is factually correct, but it is inconvenient or disapproved by the government. Many of the things that they were censoring were things that had nothing to do with COVID. They were censoring Hunter Biden's laptop. At one point, they were asked to censor a parody of the president.
If elected president, what do you do or not do about any of these things?
I will immediately, the first day in office, order an end to all attempts by federal agents and federal agencies to censor the speech of Americans. Political speech shouldn't be censored. The government should not be able to propagandize the American people. That was the law until 2016, and that needs to be withdrawn. If you like this video and you want to help me become president of the United States, go to Kennedy24.com and donate now.
Thanks, Obama. Yeah, we get propagandized. I'm just going to move on. We've got a lot to talk about, so a lot of sections to still get to. Americans don't elect presidents. So this is your president and vice president, and they win every single election. If you think Trump or Sanders will stop these men, you don't understand how your government works. These are the men that lead our country to war, destroy our economy, and steal our freedoms. Of course, this is an old meme because it says Sanders, but you could replace that with Kennedy or West or Biden, and it still is the same. They are hand-picked puppets, and they don't really have any control over anything, and we know that. I'm going to skip that story because it's long. But, yeah, we have concentration camps down at the border. They're using the old Walmarts to house the migrant children. Basically, they're concentration camps. They're not allowed in. They're not allowed out. Once they're signed in, they can't go. They're just in there. But it's a long clip, so maybe I'll cover it Friday. Let's hear from Claire Daly. Let's talk war, because we all agree that we are on the brink of World War III if it hasn't already started. Come on, Claire.
Many days in here, the discussion is marked by a delusional sense of self-importance, which is disconnected from any reality. But I have to say that yesterday's discussion on EU-China relations really beat all. People talked about unity while exposing division. They lectured China about peace while the EU is pumping arms into Ukraine. They bemoaned Chinese provocation in Taiwan, but said nothing about US interference in what is the internationally recognised part of China. How would Spain react if the president of Catalonia was a guest of the Chinese government and the Chinese Navy sailed up the Mediterranean? That's the equivalent. Can we please have some consistency? The issue is quite simple. The days of colonial domination by Western powers are over. There's a new, non-white, non-Western global order emerging based on international law, multilateralism, rather than the dollar. And of course the US is panicking over the loss of its domination. But the question for Europe is, do we want to be a vassal of our Atlantic friends, or do we want to have good, independent relations with China, our biggest trading partner, who haven't dropped a bomb on anyone in 40 years? It's very obvious which is in the best interest of European citizens. Thank you very much.
Claire makes me emotional because she says everything that we are saying. You know, wake up. Do not be the vessel for U.S. colonialism. And to say colonialism's over, tell that to the people of Hawaii who just had their land smashed and grabbed. And here's another one. Claire is just on fire. I wish we had anybody even close to her in the United States, but I can't think of any. Maybe Shama Sawant is the only, but she's not even at that level of a platform that Claire has. So here's one more.
Thanks very much, President. So here we are, and the corks must be popping in the arms industry boardrooms all over Europe. A plan rushed through behind closed doors, no public consultation, no public debate, presented as a fait accompli, just waiting for our rubber stamp. A unilateral declaration by an unelected commissioner that Europe is now a war economy. Not a war on poverty or homelessness or on climate change, but a diktat to the public of Europe that they have to accept another €1 billion being laundered from their pockets into the fat wallets of the global arms industry. The workers in those factories have to suck up the suspension of the Working Time Act, and if they don't, they'll be brandished as traitors or Kremlin agents. And if that wasn't bad enough, It won't be just our arms industries, because our friends in the US and Israel can dip into the pot, flog off bits to their European counterparts who'll do the final assembly, put a stamp and a premium on it, and it's champagne all round. And why wouldn't it be at 3,000 to 4,000 euro per shell? And the workers of Europe are expected to pay for 1 million of them. It's absolutely outrageous. If you really cared about Ukraine, you'd be pushing for peace. But the EU hasn't lifted a finger to push for peace in Ukraine. In fact, it's done everything to escalate the conflict and prevent peace. Because for the EU, it's all about the war profiteers. And the catastrophe in Ukraine is nothing more than a global opportunity for your friends. It's an absolute disgrace. It's about time you started to work for peace.
Yeah. Love Claire. Ugh, she just fires me up. My gosh. Crazy Puppet's in the house. Good morning, Crazy Puppet. I'm voting for Czech Burskaskal, sprinkling crumbs on Russian influence in election. Yeah, probably, right? Oh my gosh, these crazy so-called elections around the world. And yeah, let's not be delusional about Russia. I'm definitely not. Everywhere in the world has oligarchs and those that are in control of power. Son of Clay, the Rothschilds have been at war with the American people since the early 1800s. Yeah, right? I mean, they go back to the mid 1600s, but yeah, they've always been at war with all the people of the world, it seems like, because they got to get everything. Speaking about economy, 11 trillion wealth wipeout, 11 trillion wealth wiped out has set the world back for the first time since 2008, thanks to the trifecta of high inflation, interest rates, and currency decline. Yeah, we know it. We're feeling it. You don't have to tell us, but at least somebody's finally fucking admitting it, right? So annual incomes of Americans. I created this pie chart with statistics from Statista. As you can see for yourself, the majority of us are in the red. A whopping 65.5% of us should not be supporting the current status quo for the investor class. The predators are only able to maintain control because they use their corporate media to convince 9% of the majority that they too will someday be able to join the exclusive investor class. But my question is how much? So that pie chart is people making less than 100,000 a year. I want to see what slice are making less than 30,000 a year. That's the statistic I need to know. How much of that red is going to be, we'll say black, because people make less than 30,000. I'm going to say at least half of that red. The 65, it's got to be half of the 65% that's making less than 30,000 a year in the United States. That would be my guess. I wish somebody would look those numbers up. People are hurting and people are feeling it, and they're taking to social media to talk about it. And we're seeing so many videos like this video I'm going to show you. People just flabbergasted, wiped out, just beside themselves. You don't know what to do. You don't know where to turn for help. You don't know how you're going to keep going. And this is how so many people are ending up in motorhomes on the side of the roads, in minivans, living on the side of the road. It's disgusting. And yeah, here's just a small sample.
I have a question. How are we affording life right now?
It's to a point where people can't live. This amounted to $100. This isn't even barely anything to feed me for a couple days.
You're not budgeting your money. Oh, you're not doing this. Oh, you're buying coffee. And it's no, I'm literally not doing any of those things.
I live paycheck to paycheck every week because I'm trying to pay
every bill that the world is throwing at me right now.
And the government's response to that is, oh, hey, everybody, aliens are real. We don't give a fuck about aliens. We're trying to afford a roof over our head. I refuse to continue living my entire life like this. I'm not going to struggle my entire life.
I'm just really tired of not being able to do the things that I want.
Prices on everything are up, from food, gas, rent. Instead of $60 to fill up your gas tank, it's $140. Instead of 99 cents for eggs, it's fucking $3. Rent's going from $3,000 to $5,000. All that shit adds up, and wages aren't going up fast enough.
Wages have gone nowhere. So what did most of us have to do, myself included, with the extra $400 a month I was spending on gas? I had to use my credit cards. Even with 3 jobs now, I'm not even going to make a dent on those credit card bills. I seriously want to know what the end game is, because soon we're not going to have any money for anything anymore.
So why the fuck are we working so hard to make money for other fucking people to use and steal our income just for us to never see it?
I don't know what to do anymore. I don't.
I just don't understand. At one point, I thought I had some sort of a purpose.
I'm working just to basically pay bills, just to survive.
Why can't we all collectively come together and agree that we just don't want to do this anymore?
Yeah, why can't we? So, rich splaining verb, when a person who hasn't experienced poverty gives you patronizing advice on how to get out of poverty. And I think any of us who are at the bottom 1%, Jilly, I'm right there with you, have had this our whole lives, right? But I love when they say, I'm not going to do this anymore, because I hit that level. I hit that level in 2020 where I just said, I'm done. I'm done being a hired slave for somebody. And that's exactly how I've been treated my whole entire adult life, in the working world. Don't use that bathroom. You're hired help. You can't even get a living fucking wage. What about our kids? What about our kids? We could go out, we could get a job for $10 an hour back in the day and still afford a studio apartment. And we were broke and we weren't eating at fancy restaurants, but our bills were paid and we had a roof over our head. We had a vehicle with gas in it. But that's not the reality anymore for so many, Gen Xers, millennials, and Gen Zers. It seems like the only ones that are holding tight are the boomers, but they're getting ripped for their retirements left and damn right. I mean, we've told you guys for years here at Roar Media that they were coming for what you have, the last of it, which was the equity in your home, which was your land, and your 401ks. And that's what they've been stealing since COVID hit, since before COVID. Okay, here's one more video.
I'm having a day. Or I'm having a life. I don't know, man. I just don't know what to do anymore. I'm sitting outside work, crying my eyes out in my vehicle. Because I can't function anymore. Financially, I don't understand anymore. I don't understand how I make $34 an hour and I can't function. I can't function. I can't pay my bills. I can't even literally keep gas in my car to get to work 3 days a week because I can't afford it. Like, I get paid and it goes to car, mortgage, a couple little bills, and then maybe $80 in food for the week. And I literally only buy groceries when my daughter's home now. On the weeks that she goes with her dad, which is Monday to Monday, what I've started doing is I buy a loaf of rye bread and I work really hard to keep that one loaf of rye bread lasting me the whole week.
That is just the reality for so many people. And when's it going to stop? When's it going to change? When we take to the streets in a general strike and say, we will no longer be your laborers. We will no longer not have enough money to live. And I'm not saying live comfortably. I'm just saying live. I mean, you're swapping out food for gas. You're swapping out, internet for power. These are the things that the poor are sacrificing in order to just stay afloat anymore. And something's got to give. Or there's a saying, it only takes 3% of the population to motivate change, right? So if only 3% of us got out in the streets, they would have no choice but to give us a higher wage, to give us a living wage. Let's see. Elizabeth Berry, this is my friend over on Facebook. Another example of statistics that lie. This infographic from the United States Department of Agriculture is bullshit. According to tax records from 2020, the number of people earning less than $30,000 accounts for 44.76% of the population. Oh, I should have put this up there with that other graph. So 44.76% of the population lives on less than $30,000 a year. I know I'm one of them. You can bet your ass that these people spent a lot more than 6.6% of their income on food. Most likely, how they arrived at this 6.6 was to average the percentages across all income groups, then skew the truth that most Americans spend a great deal more than 6.6 on their annual income on food. 6.6% of $30,000 is $1,900 for the year. $1,900, which makes sense when they give you $89 in food stamps. That's what they give my mother-in-law, $89. This works out to about $120 a month. Yep. 6.6% of 50,000 is 3,300, and that works out to be $63 a week for groceries, which would be tough for one person with an income of 50,000, let alone a family of 4. Please. Yeah, $63 a week. Can you live on $63 a week? I know I can because I do it all the time. Ultimately, more of us wake up and get in their faces and throw this bullshit of their investor class right back at them. Nothing will change for the better for the majority of us. Now, let's look at this chart that she is referencing. Okay, here's the chart. How much countries spend on food? Look, the United States is the least of all of us, with the 6.6% of our income is spent on food. That is bullshit and a lie. Pakistan spends the most. Let's see, where's EU is right below us. These are statistics that they lie, and that's what they do. They lie to us about statistics. Are we shocked? Crazy puppet. So state hourly wages average range between 15 and 11 to 22.84. What state are you in? Oh, you must be in one of those big high up states, because I promise you it ain't 15.11 in Louisiana or Georgia or Mississippi or the Carolinas. So annual wages is 31,000 to 46,000 without overtime, and that's average wages. If we take lawyers out, a minimum wage. If we take lawyer out of minimum wage. Yeah, I mean, look at those numbers. That is just insane to me. How does anybody say, if you're making $22.50 an hour, $22.50 an hour, that's a good wage right now. That's a damn good wage, right? We've been pushing for 15 as the minimum wage for 15 years now, and most places aren't there yet. We are in my state, in Washington, the minimum wage is $15 an hour, but it needs to be 20. It needs to be 30, but we're not talking about that. I have noticed that a lot of the political groups that I support that push for a higher minimum wage are now saying 20 in most of their literature. So that's a start. Can we stop saying 15 an hour? 15 an hour is 2013, guys. And a lot of things have changed since 2013. Just saying. So we need to be hitting that point hard too. But that's not the only thing that it's going to affect. We have 8 million evictions sitting ready to go in the United States. 8 million people are at risk of losing their freaking housing right now. That's insane. But we knew it would happen.
If you live in America, are you seeing rent prices go up or down in your area this year? Despite recent claims that rent price growth is cooling down, new surveys just published by the Harvard Joint Center for Housing Studies and Freddie Mac found that the majority of U.S. households, or about 2/3 of the entire population, reported that they had experienced at least one rent hike in 2023. Meanwhile, 1 in 10 said that they saw a whopping $400 price increase in the first quarter. With the cost of housing exploding across the country, more and more people are missing rent payments and facing evictions. Today, eviction filings are actually 50% higher than in 2019, when there were no pandemic moratoriums in place and the market was still considered normal. Official estimates reveal that more than 8 million renters may lose their homes this month, and that may be just the beginning of a trend that will devastate countless American families. That's what we're gonna discuss today.
Go watch The Epic Economist. He brings numbers, and that's really why I like to follow him, because he really breaks down these stupid bullshit numbers that the Department of Agriculture and all the other, agencies put out there. Who knew 8 million people were in danger of losing their homes this month? He said this month, 8 million. Well, remember, we had all the eviction moratoriums that were pushed back till 6 months ago. It's taken a long time for the courts to get back up and running. And we're actually at the point now where people are going to get the boot out of their freaking house after the last 3 years of what we've been through. And what does that mean? That means even more homeless Americans. It means even more working class Americans who are still working, who are on the streets because they can't afford $10,000 to get into a house. Let's see. A 3-bedroom, 2-bath fucking Rambler that was built in the 70s is $2,500 to $5,000 depending on the area. And then you got to have first, last, and deposit to get in there, and you better have good credit, or you're not even going to be considered. That is the reality for Americans. And we wonder why we have such a homeless problem in this country. Not to mention that BlackRock and Vanguard have bought up all the empty houses that were on the market the last couple of years. We are in deep, deep doo-doo, guys. Deep doo-doo. It's not going to get any better. And, we just look to these politicians and, to lead us out of it. They're not going to lead us out of it. They led us into it. And yes, I agree. Gregory Walker says, to quote the rapper Big L in the song, "How Will I Make It? In the ghetto, you can only hope for a better tomorrow, but it never gets better, only worse." And I can say ghetto because I'm a Jew. So I don't care. Come at me.
We've all had to take action to slow the spread of COVID-19 and to protect our people. And as we continue to fight this virus, we also can't forget that climate change still remains one of the greatest challenges of our time. And in fact, COVID-19 and the climate crisis have a lot in common.
The general rule of thumb that I believe everybody should adopt is that if any problem is being presented as a global crisis, then it is a scam.
As a global community, we're challenged by urgent and looming crises. Will we work together to save lives, defeat COVID-19? Will we meet the threat of the challenging climate we're all feeling, already ravaging every part of our world? That's the idea behind the Build Back Better world.
This global pandemic has also created an opportunity to build back better, and climate action is an essential part of that.
We can build back better from this pandemic by building back greener.
Here we are now with an economy in crisis, but with an incredible opportunity, not just to build back to where we were before, but better, stronger, more resilient, and more prepared for the challenges that lie ahead. And there's no more consequential challenge that we must meet in the next decade than the onrushing climate crisis.
Right now, all of our countries are dealing with the health and economic impacts of the global pandemic. But as we look to rebuilding from this crisis, we must do so in a way that will build back better for all of our citizens. And that must include an ambitious plan to take strong action against climate change.
We want to build back better from the pandemic, and I think that this is the right moment there for us all to focus on the other great natural challenge about which we've been warned time and time again. We can't ignore it. The warnings have been even clearer than they were for COVID, and that is the problem of climate change.
This pandemic has taught us the importance of global cooperation, and we must translate that lesson to how we deal with the climate crisis. This pandemic reminds us of what we can achieve through collaboration. We came together countries, communities, and neighbors to work for our collective safety and well-being. That's a lesson we need to apply to the climate crisis.
We know now that the next crisis is already waiting for us around the corner. And it is the climate crisis.
The pattern that we are confronted with is really the fabrication of global crises. The presentation either of non-existent problems or small local problems as being general global crises. That fabrication followed by the assertion that the only solutions that are permissible are global ones that require a global authority, global control. That is the general pattern that we are up against. The COVID policy response was one of those. Look at what happened to countries like Sweden or Tanzania, who tried to push back against the orthodoxy, the new orthodoxy. And the climate crisis, the climate change crisis, is another example where we are told that the biggest threat to the world is this molecule, CO2, and that an increase in the level of this molecule will cause an increase in temperature, and that temperature increase will be bad for us, and that the only thing we can do is consume fewer fossil fuels and less energy. That's fitting the pattern exactly. The other things you can observe is, instead of presenting science as an ongoing, evolving activity, it is presented in terms of static knowledge, consensus. And you see the cancellation and censorship of dissident voices rather than engagement with them. These patterns are proof of a scam. That is what people need to understand.
Yes.
Whenever something is presented as the science, as a consensus, it is a scam. You do not have to go and get engaged in all of the minutiae of the scientific principles and the models and the measurements at all. You can know with absolute certainty that you are dealing with a scam when dissent is suppressed.
Oh, that was so important what he said. If there's a patent on it, it's a scam. Amber has proved this to us a time and time again over on Brave New Future. If you're not watching, Denver Attaway, you need to come hang out on the show and break all this down for us. So Denver says at Chanda, United States of BlackRock, #1, Brian Deasy, the former head of the sustainability at BlackRock, who now runs the National Economic Council. Oh yeah, you're just naming them all. The Deputy Treasury Secretary, Eric Van Nordstrand, a BlackRock managing director who was head of research for the sustainability investment and multi-asset strategy, now Assistant Treasury Secretary. Oh, imagine that. Imagine that. You need to come break that down for us. But I try to make people understand, and I'm just a crazy conspiracy theorist, right? For sure. I see you guys talking about cigarettes in the chat. I smoked for 37 years. I quit 2 years ago. I think my 2-year anniversary is at the end of this month because I literally quit like 3 weeks after my mom dropped dead in front of me. My mom was a heavy smoker, so I scared the shit out of me. And I was like, I don't want to die this young. So I quit smoking. I vape. You guys all know I vape, but I could not afford to smoke there towards the end of smoking and was rolling my own. I would go buy the tobacco. I would buy tubes, and I had a little machine, and I'd get up in the morning and I'd roll 20, 30 cigarettes for the day. I normally smoked about a pack and a half a day. And that was the only way I could afford to smoke. I couldn't afford a Marlboro, or I couldn't even afford generics out there towards the end, the last 5 years. I remember paying $2 a pack of cigarettes back in the 90s. And then when I quit, I paid $16.50 for a pack of Newports when I was in Chicago a couple of years ago. And I was just like, this is insane. $20 a pack of cigarettes. I can't do this anymore. So I get it. Addictions are addictions. They want us on the addictions. Try to switch over to vaping. I don't think any of it's healthier, but it might save you some money. I think I definitely save money vaping for sure. Let's see. What is this? Georgia Clark. So I'm in the hospital after developing a rare heart inflammation linked to Pfizer. And even with this side effect, I would get the jab again. Side effects can be treated. Dying from COVID-19 can't. The benefit outweighs the risk. Hashtag Pfizer. Hashtag get vaxxed. Hashtag Sydney Strong. Are you vaccinated or something? Yeah, I love that meme. That is probably one of my favorite COVID memes. Are you vaccinated or something? Yeah, definitely worth it. I wanted to show you guys this website that Steph put out there. Have you seen this? The Miserable Liberal, of course. So this is COVID-19 Humanitarian Betrayal Memory Project. And this is the VAERS reports that you don't get. These are the faces of the people who have been harmed and injured by a very safe jab, right? We're told we have to say it's safe on YouTube. So you guys know. But this website is really cool. And let me go look at the website so I can tell you what the address is. It is chbmp.org/cases. And that is the Human Betrayal Memory Project. So you can type in COVID-19 Human Betrayal Memory Project, and the list just goes on and on and on and on and on and on. And I never even got close to the end of it. And, you know, they break them down into different classifications. A lot of it is run, death is near, remdesivir. A lot of it is, you know, the treatments. Some of it was mandates, people who some of it was death protocols in hospitals. I mean, this is the real look at what they just did, what they did to us the last few years. So thanks, Steph, for tweeting that out. I try to share info so you guys can get it out there too. CDC admits that 120K US children died suddenly following COVID jab rollout. Media blackout. That is the CDC admitted that children are being injured. Imagine that. You can check that article out. It was fact checked. I don't bring you guys anything that's not fact checked. And let's see. Oh, we're going to move on. Boy, we went through the COVID section fast. You guys know we have taken so many strikes on the Beauty and the Boomer channel for COVID misinformation over the years that we almost lost our channel last year because of it. Well, maybe it was the beginning of this year. But anyway, so I step very lightly when it comes to COVID. That's why you have to come watch my Uncensored shows on Friday mornings. That is Rokfin, Rumble, and Kick. I think you can get it on X too, because I have to bring all that stuff to a show that is not on YouTube. You guys know how that goes. So Pasta's been flying so close to the sun lately over on Jimmy Dore with that shit. I'm just like, oh my God, you're going to get Jimmy's channel taken down. Pasta's doing a great job over there. If you haven't seen Pasta Jardula, my buddy, sitting in Jimmy Dore's chair the last couple of days, you got to tune in. He's doing a great job. I'm so proud of him. And yeah, I hate the cards too. I saw one of you guys post something about I hate how many card changes they do. I wish they'd come up with a different way. I mean, I use the slide deck so I can go back and forth, and I think they use the slide deck, but why they have to go to a card for 20 minutes between segments, I don't get that. But it annoys me because I was laying here trying to take a nap the other day, and I was listening to Jimmy, and every 20 minutes the music would get really loud and they'd be on break. I'd be like, God damn it, I can't get a nap. But yeah, definitely go check them out over there. They're cruising for a bruising by YouTube. Let's see. What is this? This is Weather Wars. The use of weather manipulation tools stokes geopolitical tensions. So weather manipulation tools such as cloud seeding to induce or suppress rain are not new, but develop them at a scale that is becoming easier and more affordable. Aside from the political, environmental consequences at the time of increasing geopolitical tensions, even while well-intended weather modification may be viewed as hostile. Now, this is a report from the World Economic Forum. So they're saying precipitation would be paramount at neighboring states might see large-scale cloud seeding as theft of rain or a reason for a drought. Cloud seeding planes might be viewed as dual-use tools for espionage. Hostile use are prohibited but can't be ruled out. For example, weather manipulation tools could be used to disrupt a neighborhood's agriculture or a military's planning. And if states decide unilaterally to use more radical geoengineering techniques, it could trigger dramatic climate disruption. So, what are they saying? That one state could piss off another state, or one country could steal the rain from another country? So, warning, eye in the sky. These are the states that already have geoengineering going on: Texas, Arizona, Montana, New Jersey, New Mexico, Washington, Oregon, Colorado, Florida, California, Nevada, Idaho, Wyoming, Utah, and Oklahoma. That's crazy. So there you go. The World Economic Forum admitting that geoengineering is real and worrying about the outcome of it. So check this out. Somebody sent this to me yesterday. This is natural. So this is a natural occurrence to have right angles in nature, because we have so many right angles in nature, right? Oh, they started chemtrailing us again yesterday. They let us have a 2-day break out here on the coast, which has been nice. We've had some warm weather, but I noticed this morning that they're back at it, so we're on a cool down. Some news from Washington State. Senator Patty Murray has decided to come out of hiding and tell us that, you know what, she's going to do something about the worsening erosion on the coast. I don't know if she took 5th grade science, but I think we were told and taught that that's what beaches do. They erode. So I don't know how she's going to fix that, but you know, she's got her big donor money to help propel her along. Of course, she is the 4th most powerful Democrat on the Hill now, since so many have dogged out. But yeah, she's been up on the Olympic Peninsula where I live yesterday doing the tours, kissing asses, kissing babies, you know, doing that whole thing. And it just disgusts me because we don't see her any other time up here ever till she needs some votes, and then she'll come do the rounds, right? That's what they all do. That's what your elected politicians do. Now, this next story, I just found this story cute. It made me laugh, and I had to bring it to you guys. So, meanwhile, in Montana, a handful of cows found their way into a newly built home and lived in it for a month before being noticed. The family was moving from Washington State. The aunt was supposed to be checking on the place, but she didn't. A rancher had filed a report about missing some cattle and even checked their barn, but not the house. They think a bad storm sent them for cover, and they also think that the storm blew the door open or something, and one of the cows nudged it open. So this story is hilarious. Basically, what happened was there was a big storm in April, yeah, and 4 or 5 cows. They just said 4 to 5 cows. Apparently, decided they were going to live in this neighbor's house, this brand new house, and nobody ever saw them coming and going. You see what they did to the house. The house is a total loss. The farmers had some construction crews out there to see what they could do. My question is a couple of things. How the fuck did they get that much mud in the house? What were they eating? They were trapped in there for months. They had to have been coming and going and nobody saw them. I mean, and what cool cows are that? They just like, oh, we got us a pad. We're sticking around for the week. That is a great goddamn story. Cows, I love cows. I lived on a cow farm for a while. They're not God's brightest stars, but they are the sweetest. They really are super sweet. Well, we're not too late today. We're only about 10 minutes over. I think we're almost on our way out of here, but you got to stay for the closer because I got something special for us. So this is your gardening meme for the day. Perfect. I'll pick it tomorrow. The next day. Oh, this happens to me constantly. Like, oh, I should have picked that already, right? And then I don't pick it. It's huge. I woke up this morning and half of the sunflowers were on the ground. They're so tall now that I can't get the bases to stay down. If we get any kind of wind, it just knocks them the hell down. So I'm going to go out there and dig some holes and bury them today. But that is your garden update. Hey, if you guys don't know, I dropped a trailer park gardening update over on the Trailer Park channel. If you want to check it out and see my dumpy little trailer park and see the trailer park garden, see what I'm up to and what I'm fighting against. Oh my gosh, I'm battling a bush that is worse than the Bushes ever could have been. So, I forgot. We got a couple of Julian Assanges that we need to cover real fast before we get out of here. So Carolyn Kennedy says that the U.S. is open to an Assange plea deal. A plea deal. So the U.S. ambassador to Australia told Sydney's newspaper that there was absolutely could be a resolution in this case in just a few weeks. And my response to her was, you feckless bitch, he didn't do anything illegal. He has nothing to plead to. And I think that that is the stance by most of us. This is just insulting, but I get it. I would get it if Assange did decide that, okay, he's going to admit that he did no wrongdoing, because we've had agreements like this with Australia in the past. I would totally understand, but because I want him home, I want him with his family. But God damn it, he didn't do anything illegal. So why is he doing a plea deal? You know, why is that what they're going to offer him? So here's a couple of clips. I think these are pretty short.
This is a very important aspect of this case, and where you can see that all involved states, and we're talking here mainly about the US, the UK, Sweden, and Ecuador, for the past 10 years, in every jurisdiction, in every procedure that has been used against Julian Assange, his due process rights have been massively violated and systematically violated. Now, we all know, the rule of law is not a perfect system. Mistakes happen, but that's why we have appeals instances and so on, where we can complain and we can correct things. But the amount of and the gravity of violations that systematically happen in this case, consecutively for 10 years in all jurisdictions at every stage of every proceeding, that's not a coincidence.
No, it's not.
There's only one decision.
No extradition.
There's only one decision.
No extradition.
US, UK.
Hands off Assange.
US, UK.
Hands off Assange. Bravo.
Hands off Assange. I mean, enough is enough. Okay, let's see. I've got one more here on the Assange. I need to change that font. It keeps turning trailer to taller park. It's just the way the font, that is an I. It just looks like an L. So I will fix that. I knew there was one on the deck. I couldn't remember where it was. So I got to fix that one. Don't extradite Assange. So 9 former attorney generals are calling for the release of Julian Assange. 9. Remember when we had the 51 intelligence agents telling us that the Hunter Biden laptop was disinformation? Yeah. So, we listen to the officials, but please, let's write Assange, guys, while he's still in there. We know where he's at. There is his address, or you can go to writeassange.com to get all the information of what you can send, what you can't send, and how to send it. So yes, please, let's keep fighting for Assange. I mean, I listened to an interview with Misty yesterday, and she is saying that we got to be ready to go at a moment's notice. We got to be ready to hit the ground, DC, Virginia, and to be there and support Assange as soon as we hear he's on the move. So I know that's hard to do with everybody sitting financially how they are. And it's going to be up to, I'm going to fundraise to go. If we find out, all I'm going to care about is getting a flight. I will find somebody to stay with, that type of thing. But you're not going to keep me back from going. Even if I got to drive my busted ass car all the way across the country, I will. I've done it before. I did it for Bernie. Okay, guys, I think we have made it through this show. Let me check my chats before we get out of here. How is everybody? Dingo's still holding down the kick. Is there anybody actually on Rumble? Rumble. Hey, Dingo. Dingo's over on Rumble, too. We get views on Rumble, but people don't talk on Rumble anymore. It's kind of weird. Let's see. Let's get the Rokfin. Jim, thank you so much for joining me. Hemp Car is hanging out over there. Of course, Amber King's hanging out over there. Hey, Amber. So Friday, I am doing an uncensored Friday morning, and you got to tune in for this. I'm telling you, these pictures that Jilly sent me of Obama with a small child are fucking disturbing. And that is why I didn't bring them to YouTube. And then I've got all kinds of directed energy weapon stuff we can talk about on Uncensored. Uncensored is going to be good this week. So Uncensored Friday morning. And then Friday night, we're going to do a movie night. We're going to do Idiocracy. I already got it lined up and ready to go. So come hang out over on the Rokfin, and I think the Rokfin and the Kick is what I did last time. And yeah, we just hang out, we have fun, we chat about the movie. You know, I pop on, say hi, and then at the end of the movie, we kind of talk about it a little bit. So join us for movie night if you ain't got nothing going on Friday night. Hemp Car, Amber King, Jim, who else is hanging out in Denver? Denver, I'm telling you, you need to come do the show with me. You have got a ton of info when it comes to BlackRock. And, you know, for as much information that I get, I can't retain it all. That's my problem. I get told stuff over and over and over, and I just don't retain it. So yes, Idiocracy, it's a documentary, and we're gonna watch it. I rewatched it the other day just to make sure there wasn't anything bad, because I forget, right? Nudity or violence, that type of thing. I wanted to know what was in there. And I was just like shaking my head the whole time I was watching the movie, like, oh my God, this is where we're headed. This is totally where we're headed. Craig Walker, thank you so much for the super ray today. And everybody hanging out over there. Nautilus. Hey, Nautilus. Good to see you. Make sure I didn't miss anybody. But you guys have been chatting it up over on the Rokfins. Well, thank you guys for joining me on the Rokfin. And to my YouTubers, Gamer for Life, I'm so glad you made it in today. Kim's here. Popeye. Kate's here. Go Start. Of course, Jilly holding down the chat for me. DC, Son of Clay, who else? Kim, Crazy Puppet. Love it when you stop by, because you always have the greatest chats that make me think. Like, okay. But did I get Popeye? I got Popeye. I got Kim. Seems like the same people just talking. Carlin 4737. Thank you for stopping by. Dr. Nick Rivera was in the house too. And everybody who joined us on any of the YouTubes. Now, you know, I have 2 YouTube channels. We have Beauty and the Boomer, and we have the Trailer Park Pundit. We're trying to grow both, but neither are growing. So make sure you follow over on there. Okay, we are out of here, but I got a great closer for you. You know, it is midweek Wednesday, so we kind of do like a folky, bluesy, acoustic-y type of closing song. Well, this is a Tool cover. So it's not too folky, but it is in a folky way. I think you guys are going to like it. So this is Music Makers Anime. And you guys know I love this song. This is one of my favorite songs in the whole world, but this puts a whole new bent on it. So thanks for joining me today. And what can I tell you guys to go out with? I don't know. Go out there, enjoy some outdoors. Summer's coming to an end soon. So yeah. I will see you guys Friday morning for Uncensored and Friday night. And definitely join Oz and I for Beauty and the Boomer. We'll be back Saturday night. You guys have a great day, and I will see you Friday.
Oh, coupe! Trop de bruit. Bonjour. Ce message s'adresse à messieurs Maynard James Keenan, Adam Jones, Danny Carey, Justin Chancellor, Paul Damour, les membres du groupe Tool. Nous avons kidnappé un de vos morceaux. Pour le libérer, nous exigeons la sortie du nouvel album. Si cette sortie devait être une fois de plus retardée, nous n'hésiterions pas à kidnapper d'autres morceaux. Ouais. Voici quelques images pour vous montrer que nous ne plaisantons pas.
Some say the end is near. Some say we'll see Armageddon soon. Certainly hope we will. I sure could use a vacation from this bullshit. 3 ring circus sideshow of freaks who are in this hopeless fucking hole we call LA. The only flush it all away. Any fucking time, any fucking day. Learn to swim and see you down in Arizona Bay. For your figure and fret for your latte, and fret for your lawsuit, and fret for your hairpiece, and fret for your Prozac, and fret for your pilot, and fret for your contract, and fret for your car. It's a bullshit 3-ring circus sideshow. This hopeless fucking hole we call LA. The only way to fix it is to flush it all away. Any fucking time, any fucking day. Let us swim and see it down in Arizona Bay. Some say a comet will fall from the sky, followed by meteors, showers and tidal waves, followed by fault lines that cannot sit still, followed by millions of dumbfounded dipshits. And some say the end is near. Some say we'll see Armageddon soon. Certainly hope we will. I sure could use a vacation from this. Fuck on a ball and fuck all these clothes. Fuck all these gun-toting hit-pins that wanna be. Fuck retro anything, fuck your tattoos. Fuck all you junkies, fuck your short memory. Fuck smiling garden with internet agendas. Fuck this functional insecure actresses. Freezing in this hopeless fucking hole we call LA. The only way to fix it is to flush it all away. Any fucking time, any fucking day. Learn to swim and see you down in Arizona Bay. Freezer in this hopeless fucking hole we call LA. The only way to fix it is to flush it all away. Any fucking time, any fucking day. Learn to swim and see you down in Arizona Bay. Freezer in this hopeless fucking hole we call LA. The only way to fix it is to flush it all away. Any fucking time, any fucking day. Learn to swim and see you down in Arizona Bay. Freezer in this hopeless fucking hole we call LA. The only way to fix it is to flush it all away. Any fucking time, any fucking day. Learn to swim and see you down in Arizona Bay.
Là, ils vont bien flipper. Ouais. Tu rigoles. Voilà, si c'est too much. Ouais. Rigole pas là. Sérieux, là. Ouais. Attends.